Great Northwoods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, ice activities in Maine will become limited as new laws go into effect today. We'll have the details coming up.
Also this morning, a scare in Belfast as police hunt for a burglary suspect.
And volunteers clean up a local park in Bangor even as their organization faces big challenges of their own. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us. We'll have those stories and more coming up. First, a check of that forecast. A little drizzly out there this morning.
Yeah, it was like misting
just
almost.
A little misty.
Yeah.
I could use it. My truck needs a good washing. That's the only time it gets washed is when it rains. Today looks like kind of a cloudy day ahead. I think some people maybe even welcoming that.
I think I am today. I can get some chores done inside and chill out.
Bring it on.
We'll turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Wednesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go. We have some advisories posted. This right here is a dense fog advisory that is up until later this morning at around 7 a.m. So we do have some reduced visibility along the coast. So if you're traveling right there, definitely be careful. It will be hard to see this morning along the coast because of the areas of dense fog. We do also have a small craft advisory up along the coast as well. That will last until 8 p.m. as we head towards your Thursday, expecting some active surf with an area of low pressure that will be moving in. We are seeing that area of low pressure further off towards the west with some precipitation. It's not going to be moving into our neck of the woods yet overall with the precipitation, but we are going to be seeing the clouds and, of course, the fog this morning, but overall it will be fog that will be clearing out, but the clouds that will be lingering throughout the day. So here's the precipitation right here. It is starting to rotate in very slowly. We'll have to wait just a little bit longer before the precipitation begins to move in. But for today, your hourly forecast, it's the clouds overall, but temperatures not warming up very quickly. Upper 70s for the afternoon period. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
All right, thank you, Devin. We'll see you a little later on. Well, new laws will take effect today limiting state involvement in immigration operations. This comes just weeks after the fatal ICE-involved shooting in Biddeford sparked renewed pushback against the Trump administration's immigration enforcement tactics.
Our Grace Blanchard has the details.
On Wednesday, 3 new laws will take effect restricting state involvement in federal immigration operations, right on the heels of a deadly ICE shooting in southern Maine.
These laws are proof that people in Maine and our elected officials will not sit idly by when our neighbors are in need.
The ICE Out of Maine policing law will limit Maine law enforcement's participation in the federal government's mass deportation campaign.
This law will make Maine communities safer by building community trust in government officials and ensuring every person can call for help in an emergency, regardless of their immigration status.
The ICE Out of Our Homes law will prevent landlords from weaponizing immigration status among tenants. And the third law restricts immigration agents from entering sensitive locations like schools and hospitals without a judicial warrant.
They are needed to protect all of us and to begin to repair some of the trust in Maine's public institutions where the trust has been lost.
These measures were passed last session in response to the Trump administration's large-scale immigration enforcement effort.
Hopefully it will make life a little easier for immigrants in Maine.
I support those efforts, but it's a step in the right direction, but there are many more steps to go.
The laws come at a time of heightened community tension, weeks after an ICE agent fatally shot Johann Sebastian Duran Guerrero in Biddeford.
I think people are terrified. Immigrants are afraid to leave their homes.
Several municipalities have also passed local ordinances in recent months, reinforcing state restrictions.
While Maine cannot completely bar ICE from our state because that agency is under federal jurisdiction, we can and we must maximize the tools and protections that we have available to us at the state and local level.
In Bangor, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
A Washington County woman charged with murder was back in court on Tuesday. Kaylee Brackett was convicted of murder in the death of Kimberly Neptune, who was found dead inside her home with nearly 500 stab wounds back in April of 2022. Maine's highest court vacated that conviction, and Brackett will be tried again. In court yesterday, the state asked for testimony in a child custody case where Donnell Dana allegedly said he helped Brackett clean up the murder scene and hide evidence. Brackett's lawyer objected.
Is the state asking for just the testimony of Mr. Dana? Are they asking for also the testimony of Ms. Brackett? Or are they asking for the entire proceeding? Because there's quite a bit of difference between all of those things.
Well, Brackett's lawyer had argued that pretrial publicity and rumors in Washington County would make it impossible for her to get a fair trial there. Her new trial will be held in Waldo County.
Meanwhile, a former Stetson man will be spending 5 years in prison for firearm offenses. 61-year-old Mark Herron pleaded guilty in February of 2024. According to court records, police found over 60 firearms and more than 14,000 rounds of ammunition while executing a search warrant at Herron's home. Court records indicate some of the guns were loaded. One rifle had the serial number removed. Herron was prohibited from possessing firearms due to prior felony convictions for sexual assault, attempted sexual assault, burglary, and larceny. Once he gets out of prison, Herron will spend 3 years on supervised release.
A Clinton man pleaded guilty Tuesday to multiple child exploitation offenses. According to court records, law enforcement received information that an individual, later identified as 73-year-old Keith Page, was sending money by Venmo and PayPal to several individuals under 18 years old, likely in exchange for child pornography.
When investigators reached out to one of the females, she told them that she had been providing Page with sexually explicit images of herself in exchange for money since she was 15 years old. During an interview with Page, he admitted that he knew the female was underage. Page faces up to 30 years in prison for the production of child pornography, 10 years to life in prison for the enticement of a minor, and up to 20 years in prison for the receipt of child pornography. He also faces a maximum fine of $250,000. Well, moving on now, a man accused of fleeing from an alleged burglary was arrested after an hours-long search in Belfast that affected the surrounding community.
Our Sam Miller with that story.
Around 8 a.m. Tuesday, the Belfast Police Department received a report of burglary, and the suspect fled into the woods between Chickadee Circle and Swan Lake Avenue. Locals were asked to shelter in place as police began searching the area between Swan Lake Avenue, Kaler Roads, and Patterson Hill. After several hours, the suspect, identified as 25-year-old Thatcher Jackson of Belfast, was taken into custody in the area of Belfast East Side Elementary School. Belfast Police Chief Robert Cormier says Jackson broke into the home of his ex-girlfriend at a trailer park on Chickadee Circle.
Individual came into a bedroom window, had a gun in his hand. A struggle started with some of the family members, and he ended up running out a door and into the woods.
Jackson is being held at Waldo County Jail, and he faces charges for assault, criminal threatening with a weapon, aggravated criminal trespass, and violation of a protection from abuse order. Cormier says anyone with additional information should contact local authorities.
Anyone has any additional information about him or this case to contact the Belfast Police Department at 207-338-2040 and ask for detectives.
The investigation is ongoing, and more charges are expected to follow. In Belfast, Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, 4 Michigan House candidates, 3 in Ohio and 3 in Pennsylvania, and several others are now being targeted by this National Republican Congressional Committee, or NRCC, digital ad campaign. On your screen now is their version for Matthew Dunlap. The exact same image, which is shown to have been AI generated, is being circulated with different names and different photos to apply to each candidate. The NRCC saying they're focusing on those who don't share President Trump's priorities regarding tariffs and the national economy.
The NRCC launched a new ad campaign targeting Democrats across the country, including Matt Dunlap right here in Maine, over their opposition to President Trump's efforts to hold China accountable, bring jobs home, and put American workers first.
Well, Dunlap is firing back against these ads, saying the NRCC failed to identify any of his own policies by instead focusing on his campaign's progressive stance on tariffs, adding that he feels it's less about him as a candidate and more about his political party.
This is what really turns people off about politics, is not only the distractions, but the negative attacks, which are, like in this case, very generic. It's not about anything I have in my record. It's about whether the fact, that they want to promote their candidate and get their candidate into power so that they can control and maintain power in Washington.
This is a highly contentious election with control of Congress hanging in the balance, so we're sure to see more attack ads from all sides of the aisle. There are less than 100 days to go until Mainers cast their ballots.
Well, the City of Bangor Council is imposing additional legal training on one of their fellow members who was found to have violated the city's ethics code. Councilor Wayne Mallor was found to have violated the code by making improper comments during a recess at a past meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. He has now been ordered to undergo additional training with the city's legal department. There have been a series of accusations of ethics violations that have caused turmoil against the City Council. Citizens stood up during the meeting and told the council that people are sick of what they say has been an endless cycle of finger pointing.
We are seeing our governing body completely consumed by infighting, wasting time on finger pointing while our taxes go up and our actual local problems go unaddressed. Drop the theater, stop the endless cycle of ethics charges, and get back to the business of managing the city, please, and thank you.
Tonight, one counselor gets a full council order, a public finding, and a corrective action. On the same night, this council tried to fast-track 2 major financial orders with no first reading at all. If this council can resolve this case in one sitting, it can tell the public when the other 6 ethics complaints will get the same scrutiny.
Councilor Mallor was given the chance to speak. He said only that the council had wasted enough time on the ethics issue and should just vote. The council voted in favor of the legal training for Mallor.
The Penobscot County Sheriff's Office is making an effort to reduce traffic accidents by becoming a more visible presence on the roads.
Our Calvin White shares more.
Over the summer, the Penobscot County Sheriff's Department is conducting what they call a high visibility traffic enforcement detail. This involves having more law enforcement vehicles visible on some of the state's busiest roads.
And particularly here in Penobscot County, we're focusing on those areas where there are high crash rates or a high level of complaints about dangerous driving habits, whether it's speeding, distracted driving, or impaired driving. By having a lot of officers in those areas and providing high visibility, we notice that we're having a good impact on the traffic in that area.
The Sheriff's Department says that making drivers aware of law enforcement's presence makes them more aware of their unsafe driving habits and more likely to improve them.
Yeah, so you're looking for, cars that kind of check themselves. They're coming down the road and they see, us sitting here monitoring speed, and they'll slow down or they'll get down to the speed limit, put down their phones. That's all voluntary compliance.
However, when visibility isn't enough, the Sheriff's Department will initiate a traffic stop.
We realize that most people that are speeding aren't criminals, but what they're doing is simply not paying attention to what's going on around them, and that's why crashes occur so often.
Sheriff Morin said the 3 leading causes of crashes in Maine are speeding, distracted driving, and impaired driving. The department stressed that racking up tickets is not their goal.
We're not out here trying to write a ton of tickets or jam anybody up. We just want everybody to get where they're going safely.
In Bangor, Calvin White, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, the time now is 6:13. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, the Together Place held a city cleanup in Bangor's Park just before they're set to close.
We'll have the story coming up, but first let's take another look at that forecast. Today will be a mostly cloudy day. It will be breezy with high temperatures around 78 degrees. We can expect a few thunderstorms tonight, lows dropping down to the upper 50s. Tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms, high temperatures around 72. We'll be right back.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brewer.
Troy Jackson bragged about being one of Graham Plattner's earliest supporters. When the news of Plattner's Nazi tattoo came out, Jackson stood with Plattner. When Plattner blamed women for getting raped because they get drunk, Jackson stood by Plattner. And when the media reported Plattner was violent toward women, Jackson stood again with Plattner.
I want to say thank you very much to Troy.
Don't be fooled by Troy Jackson. He's another phony we can't trust. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Thinking of buying a used car? Be on the alert for the potential for fraud with private vehicle sales. Knowing the signs of fraud and doing your research can help ensure you get a good deal and not swindled. Before handing over your hard-earned cash, thoroughly research the vehicle's history. And remember, if a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. Brought to you by this station, the Maine Association of Broadcasters, and the Office of the Secretary of State.
A new documentary from the Maine Department of Transportation is highlighting the history and evolution of the Blue Hill area.
I have not jumped off the bridge. I had scalloped in there a little bit and lobstered some, and I knew what was on bottom. Sea urchins are painful.
The Stevens Bridge is also known locally as the Falls Bridge. It was constructed in 1926 as a reinforced concrete-tied arch and grew to be a local icon and vital passage. The documentary explains how changing safety standards, structural concerns, and modern transportation demands ultimately led to the decision to replace the historic bridge, while also acknowledging the community's deep attachment to its original form. The documentary was made with the goal of creating a lasting record of the Stevens Bridge and the history of the Blue Hill area.
Boy, it's so beautiful down there, too. If you ever get a chance, go down there sometime. Well, just days before the Together Place is scheduled to close because of a lack of funding, the organization's members spent the day carrying out what they say the organization has always stood for, serving their community.
Dozens of members came together to clean up Co Park in Bangor, leaving behind a cleaner community as they fight to keep their own doors open. Our Alex Schley shares more.
You guys are 4 days away from potentially having to close the doors, but you guys are out here giving back to the community.
I never really thought of it that way. I just thought of it as keeping our neighborhood clean for everybody, you know. Whether it be unhoused or children playing at the park, you know, it really doesn't matter. You know, it's one person helping another.
Volunteers say whether they're able to save the Together Place or not, they want to leave a positive mark on the city.
I got close to at least 70, maybe 75 needles.
By the end of the cleanup, volunteers had collected nearly a dozen bags of trash and debris from Co Park and the surrounding area.
There was a lot, all the way down the hill, all the way to the bridge, down under the bridge, footbridge and everything, and we cleaned up the whole mess down there.
Ramsdale says the turnout speaks volumes about what the Together Place has built and stands for.
So many members here today that showed up just, you know, to help. Even people who are unhoused are here helping one another.
As the organization fights to keep its doors open, members say the mission to help others hasn't changed. The Together Place continues to raise money to remain open. Otherwise, they will be forced to close their doors this Friday. In Bangor, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Let's hope they figure out their problems there, because they really do serve a big need.
I think they're planning on closing Friday is the end goal. So the time now is 6:18. After the break, schools are now turning to high-tech drones to combat active shooters. We'll have more on that coming up.
Plus, severe storms in the Midwest are now heading east. We'll have the details straight ahead on Good Morning Maine.
Commercial vehicles can be dangerous, and they usually carry big insurance policies. So whether you're hurt by a landscaping truck like this, a work van like this, or a big rig like this, we know commercial vehicle accidents, and we know how to get you the big money you may deserve. If any commercial vehicle hurts you, call the Twos. We win for you.
Hurt by a commercial vehicle? Call the Twos. We win for you. Call 222-2222.
Imagine stepping onto your brand new deck, enjoying all the benefits of your expanded outdoor living space. Hammond Lumber Company can help turn that vision into reality. Visit any of Hammond's expansive showrooms and explore a world of possibilities. The timeless beauty of wood, the resilience of composite or affordable durable PVC. Railing options from traditional wood to sleek aluminum and contemporary cable railing. On-site consultation and delivery are available. Get started on your new deck when you bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
When I was 29, I was diagnosed with cancer. And I think part of research and advocating for more money for cancer research allows survivors to have more time. Senator Collins supports and advocates for more funding for cancer research so that people can have better treatments, they can have better outcomes, and therefore they can live better lives as cancer survivors. Thank you, Senator Collins. Continue fighting for our families.
Extreme weather alerts are up in multiple states. The threat of tornadoes, thunderstorms, and heavy rain will continue in some areas.
Storms have led to over 2,000 flights being canceled in the U.S. on Tuesday. ABC's Alex Stone reports on the ongoing threat.
Tens of millions of Americans are under threat of severe weather. A storm system that spawned a powerful tornado in Menasha, Wisconsin,
all of a sudden it sounded just like a big train was coming.
is now moving east. The Northeast and Mid-Atlantic could get 3 inches of rain per hour. Washington, D.C., New York, and Philadelphia all in the bullseye.
We have an excessive rainfall, level 3 out of 4, which is actually very unusual for this area.
And the ground in some areas cannot hold any more water. This was a scene in northern New Jersey. Rain on Monday led to extreme flooding. And back in Wisconsin, storms caused trees to come down. This driver came extremely close to being crushed. And that tornado that caused so much damage.
Oh my God, we're in a tornado!
Joseph Schwarzkopf took this video before he took cover.
I was laying on the ground and my windows were shattering and there was glass flying around my house.
Officials say despite the damage, nobody was seriously hurt. The National Weather Service says a tornado was an EF3 with winds up to 140 miles an hour. In the south, it's the heat that's dangerous.
From the moment I walk outside, I start sweating. Like putting my shoes on, I'm already because the humidity here just punches you in the face kind of thing.
The extreme storms from Denver to New York are causing flights to be delayed and canceled. And here in California, while skies are clear, it's about to get dangerously hot. An extreme heat warning will be in effect Thursday through the weekend in areas around Southern California for triple-digit temperatures. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
It looks like we could get a little taste of that, too. We have potential for some thunderstorms around here.
We do. Yeah. Now let's turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
All righty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. All righty, here we go. Here's the areas of dense fog that has been developing this morning. Over in the Millinocket area, we're definitely down to about a couple miles or less. Bangor is down as well. Along the coast, the observations aren't picking things up, but it's definitely along the coast where we are having problems this morning, which has prompted advisories. We have a dense fog advisory up until 7 a.m. this morning, especially along the coast. So definitely want to be careful with that. We also have a small craft advisory that is posted until 8 p.m. Thursday evening. So we are watching for some active surf, which is starting to increase a little bit, only at about 3 feet for now, but that will be getting higher coming up in due time. 3 to 4 foot wave heights farther out towards sea. So overall, we're not looking too bad as of yet. Water temperatures in the middle 60s closer towards shore, and we have 50s and 60s being noted farther out towards sea. Meanwhile, on land, we're dry at the moment, just the clouds and the fog currently moving in, the rain staying farther off towards the west. That area low pressure getting its act together. There it is right there. Showers and thunderstorms moving out over the ocean. Eventually, we'll see this area low pressure moving in for us, and that will give us some showers and storms. We'll see the clouds maybe break up for a time or so, and that'll give us some sunshine, and that could give us a temperature boost too, and the upper 70s, maybe some lower 80s as well. We'll watch the precipitation, showers, and a few rumbles of thunder possible later on tonight, but more storms on the way as we head towards our Thursday and continuing as we head towards Thursday night and the parts of your Friday. So here we go as we move forward towards today. We'll lose the fog. We'll be mostly cloudy and breezy. If we get some sunshine going, we'll get the temperatures a boost. Upper 70s we're expecting today. That southeast wind at about 25 miles per hour. By tonight, upper 50s, a few showers and thunderstorms. Areas of dense fog too, and that southeast wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms with highs in the low 70s. Northeast wind at about 20 miles per hour. And your extended forecast for your Friday. All right, mostly cloudy, slight chance for a storm. Highs in the upper 70s. And then for your Saturday, partly cloudy, highs in the mid 80s. Mid 80s again for your Sunday. A chance for showers and thunderstorms.
Millionaire has the smartest stars.
Who says we're stupid? Many people.
And
they're about to go for $1 million.
Will Ben Affleck win it all?
We got this.
Jimmy Kimmel hosts the Emmy-winning Millionaire tonight on ABC.
Ladies, a main adventure.
Wow, look at all these sneakers.
Brooks, New Balance,
Under Armour, Keds, Saucony.
Lots of sneakers for the entire family. Get ready for back to school. Get to Rennie's and get your sneakers.
Davis Brothers Furniture is expanding. At Davis Brothers, we've always strived to stand out from the rest, and we are now proud to offer flooring for your home, featuring both carpeting and luxury vinyl flooring. We even have an installer in-house with over 30 years of experience. Come see the reason people have been traveling from all over the state and beyond to Davis Brothers Furniture in Guilford for decades. Davis Brothers Furniture, deliberately different, delivering statewide.
Some days start with busted belts and bruised knuckles. But out here, fixing things is just part of the ride. No matter what I'm doing, I have just the right tool close by. From the workshop to the ballpark, it's about making a difference where it counts. From fixing it right to living it fully. Coastal Auto Parts and Milwaukee Packout Systems help me get to the moments that matter most with the people that matter more.
Thousands of kids like Caroline receive life-changing care at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center each year, the only full-service pediatric program north of Portland. You can help support them by joining the Summer Classic 4 Maine Kids Golf Tournament, happening July 31st at Bangor Municipal Golf Course, benefiting the Children's Miracle Network at Eastern Maine Medical Center. Every dollar raised supports pediatric care today, tomorrow, and for years to come. Ready to tee up for a great cause? Visit northernlight.org/4kids to learn more and register today.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
After a brief pause in fighting, Iran launched a surprise attack at the U.S. base. This as President Trump hosted Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to discuss the war in Iran.
ABC's Karen Waugh is in Washington with the details.
Overnight, U.S. Central Command says it intercepted a surprise attack from Iran on American bases in the Middle East. President Trump has previously threatened retaliatory strikes on civilian infrastructure.
I would say in 2 hours, most of the bridges, the major bridges, will all be gone, and the power plants in 1 day. And, you know, if I can avoid doing that, I'd like to do that.
In a separate escalation, the Houthis, backed by Iran, say they attacked a Saudi tanker in the Red Sea. In response, the U.S. and Saudi jets hit sites in Iraq that they believe are responsible for the Saudi oil attacks. Here in Washington, the first face-to-face meeting between President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu since the war began 5 months ago. Tensions were high when Trump thought Netanyahu was bringing intel showing Iran is trying to build its nuclear capabilities.
Well, I don't need Bibi to tell me that. Bibi's telling me that because he wants me to stay involved.
Netanyahu saying he's skeptical any peace deal can be reached with Iran. Ultimately, both leaders agree the meeting was positive. According to a new poll from Reuters and Ipsos, 62% of Americans disapprove of U.S. strikes against Iran. That disapproval is up from 58% earlier this month. Karen Waugh, ABC News, Washington.
In other news, rescuers continue to search for survivors following a powerful earthquake in Japan. The 7.1 tremor has killed at least 13 people and left many missing. Rescuers have been focusing some of their attention on a badly damaged shopping mall and collapsed houses. Power is out to thousands, and some bullet train services have also been suspended while crews assess the damage. More than 9,000 people have been left homeless, or have also left their homes, rather, during an ongoing heat wave to take advantage of shelters that still have some air conditioning.
Well, meanwhile, schools are now turning to a high-tech device to combat active shooters. They're equipping themselves with drones capable of distracting armed suspects. At least 9 schools in Florida, Georgia, and Colorado are now being equipped with the drones, which are designed to distract a school shooter until police arrive by flashing strobe lights, sounding sirens, and spraying pepper gel. The aircraft, called Campus Guardian Angel, can ram into a threat at 50 miles per hour. The company behind the drone says they'll be stored at schools so teachers can activate them during an emergency, but critics also argue the drones could misidentify a threat, and they argue school resources should go toward preventing gun violence.
Well, a familiar face is back in the spotlight. Dr. Anthony Fauci will be on the hot seat on Capitol Hill today.
He's facing new questions about his response to the COVID pandemic and whether he misled the American people. Once again, here's ABC's Karen Waugh.
6 years after the pandemic gripped the globe, new insight into the U.S. government's response. A Senate committee today is set to question Dr. Anthony Fauci, accusing the former head of the COVID response effort of misleading Americans about the source of the virus and lying to Congress, all which Fauci denies. He and his lawyers say the accusations are part of Republican Senator Rand Paul's personal vendetta against Fauci, with whom he's clashed in the past.
This wasn't the only time. So your desire to take
You're
down
absolutely
people...
incorrect. As usual, Senator, you are incorrect almost everything.
One key topic the committee is expected to discuss today, newly released excerpts from Fauci's personal diary, which were allegedly unearthed by current Health Secretary RFK Jr.
It took us about 8 months to dig these out of 11 separate servers.
Senator Paul has released what he says are key passages, including a section from January 2020 where Fauci seemingly admits he knew the virus did not originate in the Wuhan, China wet market, writing that the market was not the source, but the amplifier. Fauci has consistently said the so-called spillover theory, that the virus passed naturally from animals to humans, is the most likely origin of the pandemic, but that there's never been a smoking gun.
The evidence from the virology community points strongly towards a natural occurrence.
Fauci also wrote about his clashes with President Trump during his first term. Karen Waugh, ABC News, Washington.
Well, coming up on the second half of the newscast, we'll take a look at the Presque Isle Air Museum.
It's a really interesting place. We'll take you there coming up.
Are you experiencing foot pain? Comfort Shoes & More has a team of experts trained in pet orthotics to help you find relief. They offer tailored fittings, shoe modifications, customized orthotics, and much more for the ordinary or for the hard-to-fit foot, with fashionable and functional footwear from today's top brands: Hoka, Brooks, Keen, Teva, Taos, Ufus, and Birkenstocks. From running to walking, casual or dress, they have it all. Take the drive to Newport for a sit and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
ABC 7, Fox 22. The place we call home, telling main stories wherever you roam. From sunrise shores to forests of pine, hard work, strong hearts, values that shine. From old towns to harbors, back roads to ocean blue.
watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. Today is Wednesday, July 29th, 2026, and this is also National Chicken Wing Day.
This day invites everyone to indulge in this beloved snack. The co-owner of the bar in Buffalo, New York, gets credit with inventing the buffalo chicken wing in 1964 while improvising a snack for her son and his friends using leftover chicken wings. You can now get them in countless flavors. Americans eat an estimated 90 chicken wings per person each year, which totals to billions annually.
How about that? Are you a big chicken wing fan?
I do like them, yeah. Buffalo is okay for me,
Yeah.
but I'm more of like a barbecue.
Yeah, I kind of like that too.
Yeah.
I like my favorite at Gagan's right here in Bangor. They
Yeah,
I get their
reserve.
boneless wings with reserve sauce.
Reserve sauce.
Good stuff right there.
They're so good.
Yeah, so get yourself chicken wings today. Time for some history. It was on this date back in 1914. Transcontinental telephone service became operational in the U.S. with a first test conversation taking place between New York and San Francisco. You think about it, wasn't long ago, you couldn't call your friends in California or whatever.
I was not around
Yesterday,
for
I was
that.
camping at a remote campsite, and I had
Yep.
my phone with full service. I'm watching Netflix and texting
While you're
people.
camping?
Well, for a few minutes there. But
So
yeah, I mean,
funny.
it's just crazy how much
It
technology
is.
has come.
It really is.
Yeah. All right, a couple more for you. 1954, the first volume of J.R.R. Is it Tolkien? His novel, The Fellowship of the Rings, in the Lord of Rings trilogy, was published, if I could get it out. And in 1958, President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed an act creating the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. NASA is a civilian agency responsible for coordinating America's activities in space, launching both human and mechanical missions that have yielded vital information about our solar system and universe.
And in 1967, The Doors scored their first #1 hit with a song called Light My Fire.
Come on, baby, light my fire.
Very good. In 1967, an accidental rocket launch aboard the aircraft carrier USS Forrestal resulted in a fire explosion that stretched all across the deck. It happened while the ship was engaged in fighting during the Vietnam War. The chain reaction explosion killed 134 sailors and injured 161. In 1981, people around the world watched as Britain's Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer married during a glittering ceremony at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. And lastly, in 1996, track and field legend Carl Lewis won his 4th consecutive Olympic gold medal in the long jump at the age of 35.
He was an old man by then.
Right,
Yeah.
considered, yes.
All right, for birthdays today, quite a diverse group today. We have country singer Martina McBride, who is 60. Filmmaker Ken Burns is 73. He's made so many wonderful documentaries. And rocker Geddy Lee from the band Rush is also 73 years old today. Happy birthday to them and to you also, if your birthday is today.
We'll turn things right back over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Wednesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go. We have some advisories posted. This right here is a dense fog advisory that is up until later this morning at around 7 a.m. So we do have some reduced visibility along the coast. So if you're traveling right there, definitely be careful. It will be hard to see this morning along the coast because of the areas of dense fog. We do also have a small craft advisory up along the coast as well. That will last until 8 p.m. as we head towards your Thursday, expecting some active surf with an area of low pressure that will be moving in. We are seeing that area of low pressure further off towards the west with some precipitation. It's not going to be moving into our neck of the woods yet overall with the precipitation, but we are going to be seeing the clouds and, of course, the fog this morning. But overall, it will be fog that will be clearing out, but the clouds that will be lingering throughout the day. So here's the precipitation right here. It is starting to rotate in very slowly. We'll have to wait just a little bit longer before the precipitation begins to move in. But for today, your hourly forecast, it's the clouds overall, but temperatures not warming up very quickly. Upper 70s for the afternoon period. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
Thank you, Devin. Well, still to come here this morning, Jack Webb with sports.
Don't go away.
30 years living that Washington, D.C. lifestyle. That'll change a person. Getting rich from insider stock trading should be illegal. But Susan Collins doesn't think so. Susan Collins wants to keep it so senators can play the stock market, make millions of dollars doing it. Why we struggle to pay for gas, groceries, health insurance, the basics. For them to get all that money while we're paying more, it's not right. It's not right. Tell Susan Collins to stop this congressional stock trade.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brewer.
Live from the Maine Lobster Festival in Rockland, it's the Lobster Crate Races. Watch fearless racers dash across floating lobster crates. Will they make it or take a spectacular splash? Who will stay on their feet and who will take the plunge? Don't miss the Lobster Crate Races live from the Maine Lobster Festival, Sunday, August 2nd at 2 p.m. only on Fox 22.
ABC 7 and Fox 22's Jack Webb named Maine's Sportscaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association.
Welcome back in, folks. The college football season is right around the corner, and the Maine Black Bears are officially back for preseason practice. Our Max Sturm caught up with the team on day one.
You may not be able to believe it, but we are just 1 month away from the kickoff of the 2026 Maine football season. There's a lot to pack into the next 30 days of practice, but building the foundation is key early on.
Yeah, the standards. I mean, just how we practice, how we compete, how we pursue the ball, how we finish plays, the urgency that we play with. That's something, starting with myself, that's very important to me, and it's important to our coaches in this program that we have a certain level of toughness and effort that we play with.
A new challenge faces this Black Bears team in the next month as a new starting quarterback must be selected, which is a 4-horse race being watched very closely by coaches.
One thing that we want to see continue to grow from spring is their leadership, their ability to operate the offense, their ability to command, communicate.
That growth in leadership has also become a personal goal for key pieces like Noah Carpenter and Rashawn Marshall.
I think myself, personally, just being a better leader, my communication skills got to, improve more on that, just making sure I'm staying vocal, holding the standard every single day.
That was a big key point for me, like stepping up and being more of a leader, because I'm more of a lead by example type of guy, but if I could be more vocal and get some of the other guys going, it'd be good.
After a 6-6 record and missing the playoffs in 2025, polls rank Maine as a middle-of-the-road team. As such, an additional goal of this team is far exceeding those expectations.
Obviously, we got our goals, win the CAA chip and get the musket back. And then for me, just do whatever I can to help those goals come true.
I always like, kind of being looked at as kind of the underdog. I'm not too worried about it. I think, this is a great team and we can really do something special in the CAA.
It may seem early on in this preseason and a long way to go before that opening day game on August 27th versus Towson University, but before you know it, the weather will change and football season will be back once again. From Harold Alphonse Stadium, Max Sturm, ABC 7 and Fox 22 Sports.
A great piece from Max as always. Great to see his face there as well. It was a big day in Orono because just across the street, the Black Bear women's hockey team welcomed their new head coach later on Tuesday afternoon. Alex Gittens, the former Maine, Vermont, and Colgate assistant coach, was introduced to the program by athletic director Jude Killian and president Joan Farini Monday. Gittens describes the job as a dream come true and spoke to how the new facilities and tight-knit community in Orono made the decision easy. The Maine women's hockey program is one with a ton of potential but hasn't made the strides fans would have liked to see them make in recent years. Gittens is here to change that, but Rome wasn't built in a day.
It's not going to be an overnight process, but for me, I think it starts with the relationships within our team, as I spoke about. I think starting to understand building the relationships with our players, the staff, cultivating an environment that's that's going to bring out the best of where we are right now, and then continuing that on. First and foremost in recruiting as well. This has to be a process that's sustainable for multiple years, and we have to build on it one step at a time.
We'll stay local and go to Manfield Stadium for the Legion playoffs. We've got a graphic for you. The GSM Riders won 6-2 over Duncan, and then Trenton wins the elimination game over Duncan 9-8. That is a barn burner there late night at Mansfield Stadium. We have the finals on Wednesday. Well, let's head to the professional ranks now, starting with the Sox, who just made a trade, and it's off to probably the worst possible start. The Sox swapped Connolly early for infielder Curtis Mead, who broke his wrist in his second at-bat as a Red Sox on Monday night. Just devastating news for Boston, who gave up a starting pitcher in early to get him. Mead has been placed on the injured list, and there is no exact timetable for his return. Staying professional, Patriots owner Robert Kraft is willing to open the vault for Pro Bowl cornerback Christian Gonzalez. Kraft recently telling reporters that the Patriots have made an offer to Gonzo's agent that would make him the highest paid cornerback in the league and the highest paid Patriot in franchise history. Earlier on Tuesday, Gonzalez was asked how the negotiations are going and if he expects to sign a new deal soon.
Everybody knows what Mr. Kraft has done. A ton of respect for Mr. Kraft and what he's done with this franchise, and kind of like I said, I'm not getting into negotiation talks right now. Between me and my team, they gonna let me know and do what we got to do.
I think he answered about 5 questions just like that about his contract, so time will tell with Gonzo and the Pats. For now, that is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Are you experiencing foot pain? Comfort Shoes and More has a team of experts trained in pet orthotics to help you find relief. They offer tailored fittings, shoe modifications, customized orthotics, and much more for the ordinary or for the hard-to-fit foot, with fashionable and functional footwear from today's top brands: Hoka, Brooks, Keen, Teva, Taos, Ufus, and Birkenstocks. From running to walking, casual or dress, they have it all. Take the drive to Newport for a sit and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
Got old metal and junk cars? Turn that clutter into cash at Daddy and Daughters. We make recycling easy, fast, and fair. From Skowhegan to Dover Foxcroft, from Troy to Lee, you can trust our certified scales and friendly service, offering top prices for junk vehicles in Maine. Whether you drop off or we pick up, Daddy and Daughters covers Central and Eastern Maine. Come see us at one of our 4 locations and watch your scrap pay off. Daddy and Daughters turn scrap into cash.
Chevy drivers across America will do a lot in the next 5 years. But one thing they won't do is pay interest on their new Chevy. Right now, get 0% financing for 5 years on all 2026 Silverado 1500 models. With no payments for 90 days. Because you've earned this summer. Now it's time to go get it.
Visit your Maine Chevy dealers.
There's a small museum inside the Presque Isle International Airport dedicated to aviation history and the members of the military who were once stationed at the Presque Isle Air Base.
Our Jody Hersey traveled to Aroostook County to check it out.
The Presque Isle International Airport is full of history. The building the airport is in was actually a former fire station for the U.S. Air Force. Now, inside its doors, you'll find commercial flights, as well as the Presque Isle Air Museum, which was created in the late 1990s.
The Snark missile, it was the nation's first intercontinental missile. It was actually installed here in Presque Isle in 1959, 1960.
The Snark missile's history is one of the big features in this museum, according to the airport director, Scott Wardwell.
And it targeted Moscow. It was never fired in an act of aggression. Mr. Kaiser actually came here, set up the program, and the program was canceled, and the facility was dismantled.
The museum also highlights the famous people who passed through the area.
Bob Hope, Clark Gable, Gus Grissom, one of the original Mercury 7 astronauts, he was actually in the Air Force, and he was stationed here at the Presque Isle Army Airfield.
A small hometown museum that highlights a big role Aroostook County played in America's aviation history. In Presque Isle, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Very nice.
Yeah. Well, now here's Devin Biggs with our full weather forecast.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go. Here's the areas of dense fog that has been developing this morning. Over in the Millinocket area, we're definitely down to about a couple miles or less. Bangor's down as well. Along the coast, the observations aren't picking things up, but it's definitely along the coast where we are having problems this morning, which has prompted advisories. We have a dense fog advisory up until 7 a.m. this morning, especially along the coast, so definitely want to be careful with that. We also have a small craft advisory that is posted until 8 p.m. Thursday evening, so we are watching for some active surf, which is starting to increase a little bit, only at about 3 feet for now, but that will be getting higher coming up in due time. 3 to 4 foot wave heights farther out towards sea, so overall we're not looking too bad as of yet. Water temperatures in the middle 60s closer towards shore, and we have 50s and 60s being noted farther out towards sea. Meanwhile, on land, we're dry at the moment, just the clouds and the fog currently moving in, the rain staying farther off towards the west. That area low pressure getting its act together. There it is right there. Showers and thunderstorms moving out over the ocean. Eventually, we'll see this area low pressure moving in for us, and that will give us some showers and storms. We'll see the clouds maybe break up for a time or so, and that'll give us some sunshine, and that could give us a temperature boost too, into the upper 70s, maybe some lower 80s as well. We'll watch the precipitation, showers, and a few rumbles of thunder possible later on tonight, but more storms on the way as we head towards our Thursday and continuing as we head towards Thursday night and the parts of your Friday. So here we go as we move forward towards today. We'll lose the fog. We'll be mostly cloudy and breezy. If we get some sunshine going, we'll get the temperatures a boost. Upper 70s we're expecting today. That southeast wind at about 25 miles per hour. By tonight, upper 50s, a few showers and thunderstorms. Areas of dense fog too, and that southeast wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms with highs in the low 70s. Northeast wind at about 20 miles per hour. And your extended forecast for your Friday. All right, mostly cloudy, slight chance for a storm. Highs in the upper 70s. And then for your Saturday, partly cloudy, highs in the mid 80s. Mid 80s again for your Sunday. A chance for showers and thunderstorms.
Kirk Fisher is a motorcycle attorney with first responder experience. He protects fellow riders and those in danger, fighting fires and fighting for your rights. Experienced, determined, and dedicated. Iron Horse Motorcycle Lawyers. Look for motorcycles, or Kirk Fisher will be looking for you.
Webb's RV Center has a 4-acre lot with over 75 previously owned campers all on sale, plus another 4 acres of new RVs and motorhomes. Webb's RV will take anything in trade. You can buy a camper anywhere, but be sure to buy your next camper at your local neighbor. A website can't service your RV, but Webb's RV will. And they have the biggest service department in the state of Maine to help you enjoy your RV or motorhome.
So come on down, neighbor. The coffee pot's on and the pencil is sharp.
Keep your boat safe, functional, and beautiful with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company. Your Hammond sales rep can help you choose the perfect lift for your boat. Shoremaster's exclusive Whisper winch offers the industry's smoothest and quietest operation. Add speed and convenience with a Shoremaster lift motor. And Shoremaster's modular Infinity design makes it easy to upgrade with accessories when you're ready. Take your boating experience to the next level with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company.
Situated in Jonesboro on the coast of Maine lies Barren View Golf Course, a true links course that's a treat for golfers of all skill levels. We feature a driving range, putting green, practice sand trap, pro shop, and snack bar. Open 7 days a week. Please call ahead for a tee time.
You know, GLP-1s are helping millions lose weight, but did you know they're helping some women get pregnant?
After the GLP, I started ovulating.
Tomorrow on GMA, what you don't know about GLP-1s and if this is all too good to be true.
A butter cow and calf are once again taking center stage at the Ohio State Fair, this time as part of a patriotic tribute marking America's 250th birthday. On behalf of Ohio's dairy farmers, the 2026 Butter Cow display celebrates the nation's 250th birthday with some of the country's most recognizable symbols. The display features the iconic butter cow and calf, with the calf wearing a Stars and Stripes hat. Also included are a bald eagle, the Statue of Liberty, American and Ohio flags, and an America 250 sign, all sculpted from butter and set against a night sky, all filled with fireworks.
Wow, just imagine the work it takes to do those.
Yeah, it must be temperature controlled.
Looks like they're behind some glass or something.
Yeah.
I bet they're refrigerated.
They must be.
Yeah. All they need now is a bunch of lobster.
Exactly,
You know,
and
cook
they're good
it
to
up.
go.
Yeah. Hey, that reminds me too, the Bangor State Fair starting tomorrow
It
around here,
is.
so you'll
It'll
want to
be
get up there.
fun.
One of my favorite things about the fair is all the animal shows and
Oh, yeah.
the kids that have been raising steers and things like that.
They
so.
have some concert stuff going on this
They
year
do,
too, which
they do.
which will be interesting. I'd
Yeah.
like to go talk to our friend Jonathan over there about that
Yeah.
at some point and see what's going on.
I'm sure we'll be hearing more about the Bangor State Fair over the next couple of days.
We will.
Usually they have a media day. It might be today where they let
Oh,
us in early
very
to
cool.
kind of check out everything.
That's
So
awesome.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
Well, now to one of the world's most active volcanoes. Lava could be seen bubbling up inside the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii on Tuesday night. Kilauea, of course, is located at Hawaii Volcanoes National Park on Hawaii's Big Island. It is one of the world's most active volcanoes, intermittently erupting since December 23rd of 2024.
It erupts quite frequently.
It does. You know, fortunately,
really
it doesn't
pretty.
usually cause damage, but every now and then it will wipe out roads and head
Yeah.
towards houses and stuff. So,
Little scary.
yeah.
Well, meanwhile, a California black bear is going viral for breaking into a cabin for a sweet treat. Police say 12 people were inside sleeping when the bear got through the window. The bear helped itself to cinnamon rolls and a pie and even opened the refrigerator to get some butter before showing itself out. No one in the cabin was hurt, and video not shown here was posted on TikTok from inside the cabin where a few people that were actually awake were hiding from the bear upstairs.
I would probably do the same thing.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
The bear just wanted a little snack.
It just wanted a
you know,
snack,
didn't
of
cause any
course.
damage. Just,
No.
But he stole somebody's pie.
He sure did. Well, that's all the time that we have left for this hour, but you can join us for the second hour of Good Morning Maine.
Thanks for being there. Have a great day, everyone.
Water, nature's ultimate cleaner. We drink it, we bathe in it. Think water, think steam, think clean. Now harness the power of water with the H2O X5 5-in-1 steam cleaning system.
I'm so impressed with the X5. It's an all-in-one product. I can use it throughout my
Union. Your home has grown in value, season after season. With the county's 1010 Home Equity Line of Credit, you can borrow up to your credit limit over 10 years with interest-only payments over those 10 years. 10-10. And then you can stop and smell the roses, soak up the sun, and invest in your nest. The 1010 Home Equity Line of Credit, the County Federal Credit Union, countyfcu.org.
Need a driveway paved or an entire road surfaced? Give Eaton Paving and Excavation a call. Eaton Paving offers a full line of excavation packages, from new home projects to new and replacement septics and driveways. We also install new shoreland and do shoreland repairs. Our operators have more than 75 years combined experience, and we have been delivering quality, professional service for nearly 3 decades. We strive to exceed your expectations. Give us a call today at 207-348-5630 or visit us at eatonpaving.com.
I got hurt in this accident and I need help, but I don't have money to hire a lawyer.
If you've been hurt, we can take your case for free, and you don't owe us a penny unless we win. A free call and a free consultation could set you free from your car accident problems.
I made a free call to Lowry Law and they got me $400,000. The twos set me free.
I'm your go-to guy.
If you're hurt in an accident, what do? Call 222-2222.
Ready, set, summer with the Honda Summer Event. From the most fuel-efficient full-line automaker in America. Visit your local Honda dealer today.
Good Morning Maine on WFVX, Fox 22. From the Great Northwoods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, ice activities in Maine will become limited as new laws go into effect today. We'll have the details coming up.
Also coming up next, a scare in Belfast as police hunt for a burglary suspect.
And volunteers clean up a local park in Bangor, even as their organization faces big challenges of their own.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll have all the day's news coming up. First, check that forecast. A little drizzly out there in some places this morning, but for the most part, it looks like today will stay dry. It will be on the cloudy side.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a better chance of getting some serious rain coming in later on tonight into tomorrow.
Definitely.
We could certainly use it. We just don't want any of the destruction that they've seen elsewhere.
Yeah, let's hope not.
Well, more on the storms.